Well, greetings and welcome. My name is Dr. Anjali Bhagra. I'm an internist at Mayo Clinic and also have the honor of serving as the medical director of the Office of Equity, Inclusion, and Diversity at the Mayo Clinic. Joining me today as part of our conversations and series to uplift the personal and professional lives of young women leaders, which is part of a partnership between the Women's Foundation of Minnesota as well as Share the Mic Minnesota, is Hilal Ibrahim. I am honored and delighted to share Ibrahim's spectacular and outstanding story with you all today. Hilal will be taking over my Twitter handle on March 26th and will be sharing pearls of wisdom, her lived journey, and her experiences as a young rocking leader on March 26th. So please don't miss that opportunity. Well, welcome, Hilal. Thank you for joining us. And I'm so excited about you taking over Twitter on my behalf. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Hilal Ibrahim. I am the CEO and founder of Henna and Hijabs. I am heavily passionate about healthcare. I have over 11 years of healthcare experience and currently serve as on the board of directors for one of Minnesota's healthcare institutions. And I'm so excited to be here with you today, and thank you for having me.
Awesome. I know, Hilal, we can utilize our entire time going over your titles and your roles. So why don't we just knit them through our conversation today? I know that I was just blown away when I heard about your inspiring story. And I would love for our listeners and other leaders across the country and globe who are accessing this conversation right now to know about your inspiration. What inspired you to start with this henna and hijabs?
Yeah, so after high school graduation, I was unable to find the right hijab for graduation. And I've always been someone that recognizes that if there's a problem, find a solution for it. So I ended up taking a trip to our local fabric outlet and ended up designing what ended up becoming the first piece for henna and hijabs. I just didn't know it. And shortly after high school, I graduated that June. Shortly after, during the summer, really the idea and the imagination for H&H came to life. And ever since then, the company has really been identifying and solving more problems in the fashion and healthcare world.
That's fascinating. You know, I always say that life is lived in prospect and learned in retrospect. I loved how you said, little did you know that was the first piece that you were creating for future H&H. And, you know, this is so heartwarming and humbling when your personal journey inspires you to become a problem solver and innovator in this space. And you're not only limited to yourself, but you really expand your innovation to the rest of the world. So kudos to you. Just absolutely phenomenal what you did. So Hilal, I know that you are somebody who's driven by values, who's very, very careful, and you call out your values in everything you do. So share a little bit with us about your journey and how you utilize your value to accelerate your innovative path.
Yes. So fast forward in 2019, I was working in an emergency room setting and as a phlebotomist. And what ended up happening was I ended up getting some patient blood on my scrubs and my hijab. And what ended up happening in the middle of an emergency room shift is that I ended up going home because there was a change for scrubs at the hospital, but there was not a change for hijab. And I just remember coming back to the hospital and just kind of everything that I had to go through in that whole scenario later that night when I got home, and asked myself, what can we do as a company to really solve the need? This can't be happening in a healthcare space. And so that's kind of when the brainstorming and the ideation for the healthcare hijab came. And so we sourced materials that would hold for the healthcare space and environment. And I actually not only thought about healthcare employees, I thought about patients as well. Another that I had observed in the hospital setting was in labor and delivery, where a Muslim woman was actually, her hijab ended up falling off, and she was rushing into a C-section, and they ended up giving her a white hospital blanket. And so I kind of paired the experiences I saw in the healthcare setting in different departments, really, in different specialties, and said, we need to fix this. And so I ended up designing a healthcare hijab made from a bamboo jersey material, made sure that the length and the width of the material was appropriate, added in slits for employees, so they had stethoscope access, which also has now turned into mask access during the COVID-19 pandemic, and ended up approaching leadership and suggesting that they have this product after recognizing there was a need. And it was well received by health partners in Park Nicollet. And what happened in November of 2019 is they became the first healthcare system in the United States to offer hijabs to their employees and patients. And what that really did was start a conversation about what it truly means to be inclusive. I remember the day of the launch, we not only had Muslim employees purchasing hijabs, we had Orthodox Jewish women there and other communities who identified with the head covering. So for me, it was not only an opportunity to fill a need within my community, it's something that affected me personally, but it was an opportunity to also support and provide an alternative to other individuals who identified it with the hijab as well.
That is such a powerful story, Hilal. I know you and I have shared passion of healthcare and inclusion. What really inspires me is humility and inclusion. And that's where true belonging comes. For me personally, inclusion is all about creating an environment of empowered belonging for everyone. We aren't talking about a tolerant or a belonging where we just accept people, but we empower people. We really motivate and equip people to bring their best selves to whatever challenge of life it is, whether it be professional or personal. As you were narrating your story, I was reflecting on my journey. So I'm born and brought up in India and relocated here. I went to medical school in India and actually did my residency training and worked as a physician, as a radiologist in India, and relocated here. I started training with a 6-month-old, and both my husband and I were in training. And one of the first exposures I had to the American medical system was how challenging it can be for a young mom. And certainly with my background, a brown woman who's a mom, and I appreciated, when my colleagues really were inclusive, when I was included in decisions that impacted our environment. And, just as you highlighted, Hilal, this is an active intent, and this doesn't happen on its own. It really needs awareness, but then it needs action. So your story is so action-packed. You have really implemented so many of your personal values. And certainly as a strong entrepreneur and innovator in this space, one thing you touched on briefly was sustainability. And I know that's one of the things that you are very deliberately focused on. Do you want to share a little bit about how you are deliberate on that and how that's helped you in your journey of, scaling your business?
Yes. So when the company launched in 2017, one of the core values we established the company with was a commitment to excellence. And so when we were making and producing and ideating and brainstorming, making sure that we were doing it in the best way possible. And so from that, I'm very, very big and supportive of any environmentally conscious initiative. And so I started researching and learning about sustainable materials, what was good for the environment, what was not. Was really big on making sure that we were using fair labor when our scarves and our materials were being stitched, asking the right questions. And so we have a commitment to not only producing an excellent product, but making it in an excellent way. And I'm so big on keeping things local and working so hard to maintain and build as the company grows. And that is something that we are really passionate at H&H about, is making sure we make our products in the best way possible. And something that it excites me is creating a hijab using materials that are good for the environment, whether that means recycled materials or whether that means sustainable materials. That's an area that we are passionate about.
That's phenomenal. I know you have a strong background, Hilal, in biology, in history, but gosh, to me, it sounds like, you're just so solid in your business skills. And really, this is authentic leadership, what you just shared with us about your focus on your community, when your intent of giving back and your intent of moving everybody along in your journey. Hats off to your spirit of inclusion. I'm just inspired every single minute that you continue to share your story. That is just absolutely phenomenal. I work at Mayo Clinic, and we institutionally define ourselves by our values, and we are so committed to caring for our patients, our employees, our own people, communities, and our values are rich ties. And we include things including respect, inclusion, compassion. You're just exemplifying every single one of our values. I would love to see you, continue your journey. I know you are interested in elevating your impact, and tell us a little bit about your plans. What is it that excites you? What do you think future has in store?
I can only hope and pray that the future has the best in store, and that there's many more to come. I am really passionate about healthcare and medicine, and whether that's the clinical facing side or the leadership side, I have had the opportunity to work in a healthcare system since I was 14. And that there's a joke that we make in my family, and is that I lived in a hospital throughout my middle school and college years, and every moment of it has been so exciting and inspiring. And so my biggest dream and hope is to continue creating impact in healthcare beyond the community level, locally here, but also nationally and internationally. And it wasn't until the hijab really the launch with the hijabs that we saw the need and across the world globally. And that just made me open my eyes and recognize that the work you're doing here has the impact to go far. And so I pray and hope for the intention to continue this work and help others. And impact in healthcare is where my heart is and where I hope to be for many years to come.
Amen to that, Hilal. You're in this brief interview. I have no doubt that you have inspired so many directly, indirectly. You're just, I just want to wish you all the best. Dream big. You are meant to dream big because you move the world along with you. This has been so inspiring to learn about your extraordinary journey. What would you like to leave our audience with? Share with us your final words of inspiration. And I'm sure people will hear a lot on March 26th on my Twitter handle when I'm going to share the mic. And I'm so excited and eagerly looking forward to that opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Bhagra. One piece of advice I would like to share is to really, and I make a joke that I'm a student by day and an entrepreneur by night. So I tell people, I get some questions a lot about being an entrepreneur and being a leader in the healthcare space and just everything that I do. And the biggest thing I tell people is to really go after your passion and really never stop dreaming and work hard. And know that anything you put your mind to is possible. anything, and I genuinely mean that, anything that you put your mind to, that you believe in, is possible. And so to that, I say exactly what you echoed to me: dream big and never give up is what I can leave you with.
That is fantastic. Well, I sincerely hope that medical school admission committees are listening to this interview and have an eye out for the rock star, Hilal Ibrahim. Good luck to you, my friend. Thank you for sharing your inspiring journey. More to come as you take on Twitter in your stride. Thank you so much and good luck.